Boys, gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Got a little bit different video today. We're on our way to the mall, and then we're gonna grab some food. I was trying to make this video outside today, but it's super windy, so this is gonna have to do. Anyways, so gentlemen, we are speaking about one of the biggest trading mistakes that I really made for a long time before I was able to really become profitable, because this was almost like that stage where you're a break-even trader. So if you find yourself at the moment noticing that you're not just completely losing money, but you are, like, your P&L is basically bouncing back and forth, like swinging up and down. So you're pretty much like a break-even trader, right? Where you'll take a dub and then you'll take losses, like a couple of them. So then you're back to normal. And then you take a dub and then, you know, back and forth, kind of like in that realm of things, right? And this is one of the best stages to be in, honestly, because what I realized for myself when I was in this position, and this is also why I couldn't pass funding challenges, right? That's why I always recommend to everybody to just acquire funding. Like, your number one goal as a trader should be to acquire first 6 figures of funding, and then after that multiple 6 figures of funding, right? But that's another video. But anyways, the reason I was stuck in here and so I couldn't get funded or anything until I was really able to get out of it is because if your P&L is just swinging up and down and you're break even, how the fuck are you supposed to hit these profit targets with these challenges and acquire that funding, that bigger amount of capital, so that then you can, you know, make some decent money in a month, whatever, right? And so what I had to realize, and just looking at my MT4, my MT5 P&L, you know, just trade history, is that I would take these dubs, these winning positions, but then right after there would be like a series of 4 to 5 losses, and then again, and then again. And if you guys know, with the way that I trade, it's, you know, I'll hit a 3 to 1, a 4 to 1, a 5 to 1 pretty regularly. But then again, if it's followed by a series of losses, it doesn't mean anything. You know, you're right back to break even. You have to take 5 trades to find one that's going to hit, right? And so the way of thinking, what I really noticed here when I was stuck in this phase of my trading before really being able to come out on the other side, is I don't have to focus on just taking more wins and getting better at identifying wins. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely a great part of trading and what you also need to take attention to. But it was more so, I just need to focus on taking less losses, right? Because if I naturally take less losses, what is that going to do? That's automatically going to mean that I'm taking more winning positions. And then if I'm taking less losses, and now all of a sudden when I catch a dub and then I don't catch those series of L's, I'm actually stacking profit now. And I'm essentially now actually making money and not just stuck in this break-even phase, right? And so that's what I really had to do. And so what I did to solve this problem after I realized this way of thinking is I literally just started, again, identifying in my trading journal and in my position history the series of losses. I was like, okay, what is it? And what I really came to notice is I'd always get stuck in, number one, marrying the same trade idea multiple times, and so I'd catch so many multiple L's basically off something that should only have been like 1 loss, max 2, but instead I'd keep going back into the market trying to hunt and catch this move, this idea that I've married inside of my head, right? And that just continuing for like a whole week or so, whatever. And the second thing, I was just over trading. It's literally too much trading, you know, but not being, again, as selective and as patient with the setups as I needed to be. And so, as I said, where I would marry the same trade idea, you guys know what I do is something called top-down analysis, right? And so I start at the top and then I make my way down. And so once you have this analysis lined out, in short, you can kind of identify the long term of like, what do you think this position is going to do? And so once I had that done and I didn't clear my charts consistently, I would have the same idea in mind that, hey, this is what this position needs to do, right? And then so I would just go back continuously because I've, again, married that idea in my head and just take L after L after L, instead of just being able to realize like, hey, you this isn't clean at the moment. Hey, I've taken this loss, this is invalidated or whatever. Hey, let me move on from this idea and this merry bias or whatever that I have in my head. Let me just go to the next pair, right? And then because I have my previous chart markups or whatever it is, and I haven't cleared them, I'm not being able to zoom out. Essentially, I'm so zoomed in because of my previous analysis, and just being bought into the fact that I need to catch this move, that then you just go in and just keep losing your money, right? And so that's why something I do nowadays is I'm always clearing my charts, consistently, so that I can always come in fresh, unbiased, unmarried to an idea of what I want this shit to do. And I usually do that every week, right? I'm usually clearing my charts like every week, so I have a new unbiased way of thinking every new week coming into the market, right? But on top of this, as I said, the second thing I really had to do here was just stop taking as many positions. Just limit the amount of trades that I was taking every single day, every single week. And so beforehand, bro, it was normal for me to come into the markets, take 2-3 positions a day. In the very beginning, it's a little bit different because I wasn't that familiar with what I was doing. Those times, definitely like 5-6, at times. But then the more experience I got, it just started to slimmer down. So it was like 2-3, some days 1, mostly 2-3 though. And so then what happened after this way of thinking was like, listen, I'm just going to come up with this golden rule. And what this golden rule, if you guys have heard me talk about it on this channel a lot, is 1 trade a day, max, right? Nothing after that. If I catch a L, I'm not getting in again no matter what. I have this 1 limit a day. And so what I started to do with this is just become, the reason I did this, number 1, was to put less risk on the table, but number 2, to limit myself. And then number 3, what happens when you limit yourself, right? You start to trade less. And what does trading less do? It allows you to catch less L's, especially if you're catching so many L's, because you're trading so much. And then that's when things really started to click. That's when I was able to actually get funding. But more importantly, get the funding and get the withdrawals, right? More importantly with that though, was at the rate as which it started to happen. Because all of a sudden I went again from trading so much, being in this break-even stage, and then maybe catching like a profitable week before going on my entire downfall. It was like, hey, if I'm limiting the amount of trades that I'm taking and I'm becoming more selective with them, that means I was catching more dubs. And so all of a sudden I went from it taking forever to take a fucking challenge and pass to being able to pass in like a week or 2. Because now, hey, the 2 weeks, the 2 positions that I was able to take in those 2 weeks of trading, those both were able to hit, or those 3 trades that I took in the span of 2 weeks in 1 week, it was 2 dubs and 1 L, right? And so that's why the quality of stuff really allowed for the shift in my P&L, and just being more selective and not taking so many L's. And this is why I say it wasn't even more like, hey, I want to focus on catching more winners. It was like, hey, no, I just need to figure out a way to catch less losses, man. But boys, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you guys took something valuable from this video, and really how overtrading, how catching too many L's and being married to the same trade idea really kept me stuck in this like break-even stage for a very long time. But with that being said, gentlemen, I love each and every single one of you, and I will see you guys in the next video.